Howdy everybody, welcome back again to another video. So, Nintendo and Valve have blocked Dolphin from coming to Steam.
Fuck!
Yeah, so not very happy, but there is a legitimate reason why Valve decided to block it from coming to Steam. There is a good reason for it, and that's something that Nintendo has merit, but it's still pretty fucking scummy what Nintendo did. They're very hypocritical. I'll explain why I say that later. Anyway, let's get to the article. Did you hear the one about how Nintendo blocked the Dolphin emulator from making its way to Steam, purposely with a DFC takedown? That's not the whole story. According to copies of communication that the Dolphin team provided to The Verge, Valve helped Nintendo kick Dolphin out, first by bringing the Wii and GameCube emulator to Nintendo's attention in the first place, and second by unilaterally deciding to pull the plug without giving Dolphin an out. Valve said this: "We operate Steam as an open platform, but that relies on creators shipping only things they have the legal rights to distribute." Valve does not dispute this, given Nintendo's history of taking action against some emulators. That's an understatement. We brought this to their attention proactively after the Dolphin team announced it was coming soon. Valve spokesperson tells The Verge. That feels weird to me, but the emails also show why Valve may have had good reason to nip Dolphin in the butt. Here's the entire email that Valve received from Nintendo's lawyers on May 26th. So this story is a couple weeks old. But anyway, here we go. Okay, dear Valve Legal Department, I am an attorney in the law firm, blah blah blah. We represent Nintendo, which along with its parent, Nintendo Co. develops and, get the whole idea of introducing Nintendo. Thank you for bringing the announced offering of Dolphin emulator and Valve Steam to Nintendo's attention. The Dolphin is a piece of software that emulates games designed exclusively for Nintendo systems, specifically the Wii and the GameCube. So the games can be played on other platforms, specifically any PC capable of running major operating systems such as Windows, Mac, or Linux. As such, this Valve Steam Deck. The Steam Deck as well. Figured. The devs of the emulator have put up a coming soon page with a stated plan to ship the software in Q2 2023. See blah blah blah. As noted below, because the emulator violates Nintendo's IP rights, including but not limited to the rights under the DMCA anti-circumvention and anti-trafficking provisions, we provide this notice to you of your obligation to remove the offering from the Steam store. The Dolphin emulator is designed to play Wii and GameCube games. Nintendo owns or exclusively controls copyright to Wii and GameCube games, and authorized third-party licensors who develop thousands more. Nintendo authorizes these games played solely on their native consoles to protect Nintendo as third-party license copyright works, games that you don't even support anymore, mind you. Anyway, Nintendo places certain technological measures on its console and games that includes, among others, encryption on Nintendo Wii, GameCube consoles and games. It continues and effectively protect its access to and copying of the copyrighted games, and inherently the ability to play those games on unauthorized console. I think they're mentioning the whole thing with dev retail mode of the Xbox, but anyway. Wii and GameCube game files or ROMs are encrypted using priority cryptographic keys. Aha! I'll explain that in a minute. The Dolphin emulator operates by incorporating these keys without Nintendo's authorization and decrypting the ROMs. This is where it was discovered that they actually have a case, I'll explain later. Anyway, or immediately before runtime. Thus, use of the emulator unlawfully circumvents a technological measure that effectively controls access to your work protected under the Copyright Act. I'm not going to read that, but anyway, whenever by the Dolphin developers or other third-party platforms, constitutes unlawful trafficking technology that is primarily designed or produced for the purpose of circumventing a technological measure. The technological measures on Nintendo consoles and games are essential for Nintendo to protect its IP from piracy. When those measures are circumvented, Nintendo and third-party game developers suffer tremendous harm. That really ticks me off, but anyway. Because, for example, individuals can then use the emulator to play pirated games. Oh, here we go. Other commercial platforms recognize these concerns. Such as example, we understand Microsoft originally took various emulators, including Dolphin, of its Xbox store, but there's still another way where people can play them. As I've pointed out before, we specifically request that Dolphin's coming soon notice to be removed, and that you ensure the emulator does not release on Steam moving forward. This letter is not intended to be a complete statement of Nintendo's legal position or the relevant facts in law, and nothing contained in this letter is intended or does constitute a waiver of any rights, claims, remedies, such and such, all of which are expressly reserved. Nintendo is happy to discuss in more details should you have any questions. Sincerely, obviously blank though.
What the fuck, y'all? God damn! God damn!
Yeah, so yeah, not I am not exactly sure about that because it is a hit on emulation. Something I am all for because the the parts like in that email kind of pisses me off because of Nintendo is so freaking hypocritical because they don't give a shit about emulation. They just don't want you to play their games on the emulators because they rather sell you the games over and over and over again. Not just Nintendo really, because there was a case way back when where Sony actually lost the case, but the maker of the software that they were suing against, they actually went out of business because they just couldn't compete and they didn't have the big pockets that Sony does. It was kind of funny because Sony lost that case, which is very historical, I'd say, in this case. So, you know, so Nintendo is like very hypocritical because like they don't give a shit about preservation. They don't. They factually don't. So, and that's like saying I can't play a game that I physically own. Not to mention, companies that have made some third-party games are not even in business anymore. So why the hell? So are you gonna plan on reselling them someday, Nintendo? I bet you aren't. So why the fuck do you give a flying shit when other people emulate games from companies that don't exist anymore? Anyway, continuing. First, the first paragraph, thank you for bringing the announcement offering to Valve's Steam Store to Nintendo's attention. In the series of Mastodon on May 27th, former Dolphin Foundation treasurer Pierre Borden suggested that Valve poke the bear in this, and plus Valve's comment to The Verge confirms it. But second, the email confirms this nothing like a typical DMC takedown request, and that might be why Valve didn't give Dolphin a chance to combat it. Which kind of makes sense because the Dolphin team, you know, stupidly use those cryptocard keys because unlike other emulators where you actually have to set up the BIOS yourself, where with Dolphin you don't have to do that because those keys are within Dolphin software. And Dolphin's been around since 2003. So why didn't they kind of do something about that? Maybe they probably didn't have the foresight that this would probably happen, but again no, you kind of should have done something about it so that this doesn't happen, but the fact that it did, and this is a hit on emulation like I said before at the beginning of the video. But anyway, continuing. So it doesn't matter whether Nintendo properly formatted a DMC takedown notice or another Valve gave Dolphin a chance to speak for itself. No, it did not. Nintendo's threatening Valve with a lawsuit, not Dolphin. If Valve can't sidestep it simply by saying Dolphin filed a counter notice, goes through them first. That's how Section 5112 is supposed to work, but not Section 1201. Even if it were, Section 512, Dolphin doesn't really have the rights to a counter notice. Steven's Valve's store and can take down whatever it likes. Yeah, I'd imagine that's how the Dolphin team is right now, because they can't do shit, because Nintendo's not suing them, they're suing Valve. Or they were if Valve would have, you know, let Dolphin stay on its store for it to actually come out on Steam. So Valve kind of like had no choice but to do it, but it's still really shitty though, because like I said before, this is a hit on emulation, and Nintendo is tripling down on it, on their anti-emulation stance, which is very hypocritical, as I said before, because they literally use emulators for the Switch Online, okay? That's what they really want. I didn't mention that before, because they want you to sub to their online service. I haven't subbed to Nintendo's online service in like how many years? Like 2 or 3 years. I stopped because I just got bored, or I just didn't really care. And anyway, now would Nintendo actually prevail if it sued Valve distributing Wii in-game emulator? That's impossible to say, but the Dolphin team did confirm that the emulator just shipped with a common cryptographic key. Our technicalist Kyle Orland spoke to several lawyers who think Nintendo might have a decent case. That's kind of what I was talking about, because Nintendo would have a decent case should this go to court because of those keys being used in Dolphin's source code. Because of that, and because it might mean relying on very different precedent than past emulator legal battles. Because emulators themselves are legal in most cases, but in Dolphin's case, it seems to not be, because of those keys being used. Nintendo seems to be attempting to brand Dolphin an illegal emulator. By the way, Nintendo spokesperson Eddie Garcia provided this statement to The Verge. Nintendo is committed to protecting the hard work and creativity of video game engineers and devs. This emulator illegally circumvents Nintendo's protection measures and runs illegal copies of games. Using illegal emulators or illegal copies of games harms development, ultimately stifles innovation. Nintendo respects the IP rights of other companies and in turn expects others to do the same.
Why? 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 Why, oh god fucking why?
Okay, Nintendo, how the fuck can you sit there and say that you're protecting other IP rights? Come on now. Come on now. You're really telling me that you're gonna actually protect IP of games from developers who don't even exist anymore? So are you kidding me? Really? What about the regular THQ from back in the day, huh? They're gone. There's so many other IPs that don't exist anymore, or just lost in the abyss. You remember that Castlevania series of Castlevania games from the Wii? That's gone, because the Wii shop is shut down, so those are lost in the abyss. But if people could somehow find a way to back those up, boom, they can play them through emulators on their PC and play better than it would on the Wii. There's so many more examples of classic games that are stuck in the abyss forever because this industry does not give a crap about preservation. It factually doesn't. All big three don't. Microsoft used to an extent, but they kind of stopped doing the back compat program, which I really hope they really should, to be quite honest with you, continue that because there's so many great games that are delisted for licensing reasons, though. You know, from the 360 generation that I love and other things. But anyway, to finally wrap this article up, Valve may simply not be interested in picking that fight with Nintendo on behalf of the Dolphin team. Video game industry attorney Mark, I can't say his last name right, so I'm not going to, told artist perhaps Valve was also making up for that time and accidentally plugged the Switch emulator in the Steam Deck ad. Oh, I forgot about that. That caused a huge crap storm when they were promoting the Steam Deck. They promoted a Switch emulator in it by accident. We don't have to speculate too much about what Valve thinks, though, because Valve provided this full statement to The Verge. We operate Steam as an open platform, but that license, like I said before, sometimes third parties raise legal objections to things on Steam. The Valve isn't well positioned to judge them. The parties have to go to court or negotiate between themselves. An accusation of copyright infringement, for example, can be handled on the DMC process, but other disputes, like trademark infringement or breakage of contract claim between a dev and a publisher, don't have a tutorial dispute resolution process, so in these cases, we generally will cease distributing the plot material until the parties tell Valve they have resolved their dispute. We don't want to ship an app we know could be taken down, because that can be disruptive to Steam users. Given Nintendo's history taken actually against some emulators, we brought this to their attention. Practically, the Dolphin team and us was coming soon to Steam. Based on the letter received, Nintendo and the Dolphin team have a clear legal dispute between them, and Valve cannot sit in judgment. On May 26th, they told the Dolphin team it removed its emulator from Steam unless or until both parties notified that the dispute is resolved. It's not gonna happen, let's be fucking real. Anyway, and Valve has decided not to defend Dolphin. That's likely as far as the story is gonna go. And so that kind of wraps up this article. But yeah, Nintendo was why do you give a shit concerning that? Oh wait, I know why. Because you don't give a crap about game preservation. You're perhaps one of the most hypocritical companies in the industry, and that's saying something because a lot of companies in the industry are very hypocritical, very much. So even their competitors can be hypocritical at times, especially, come on, with the whole Activision nonsense. But anyway, so yeah, wow, Nintendo, like you just couldn't let this go, now could you? Why do you give a shit if people emulate old games that or otherwise would be stuck in the abyss? Because this industry does not give a shit about preservation, and video game preservation is so important. That's why people push for physical games still in this day and age, where digital is so dominant. But wow, like that's what kind of pisses me off, because this industry doesn't care. Like there's so many good games that are stuck in the abyss simply because they don't care. They really don't. And there's so many companies that have gone out of business, you know. Like, for example, pretty much Radical Entertainment is gone. Activision shut them down after Prototype 2. And there hasn't been a new game since Prototype 2, all the way, you know, over 10 years ago. God, that makes me feel old. Holy shit. But anyways, yeah, like, Nintendo, man, why? Why the hell do you give a care? Like, so freaking what? As long as I own the game, I should be able to do whatever the hell I want with it. And there's actual devices out there that will let you legally back up your games to convert them into a ROM so that you can play them on an emulator. Stone Age Gamer, that's what they do. They sell devices that let you do that. Like, and they've been doing that for years, okay? So again, Nintendo, why do you care? Like, why? Oh, anyway, because like I said before, that you want to continue to sell it over and over and over again. And screw you, Nintendo, man. Screw you. Man, you just couldn't leave it alone, but, again, like I said, emulators themselves are legal. How you get those ROMs, like downloading them from websites, that's the shit, that is the shady part. But people are gonna do it anyways. I mean, Nintendo has had court battles with emulation websites for years over ROMs. But in Dolphin's case, they should not have used those keys, because they kind of should have had the foresight to know that eventually this would come back to bite them in the ass, and look what happened. That's where we are here in this case. But yeah, so not very good for emulation. It's really not. So I hopefully they Dolphin can kind of fix this so that this doesn't happen again. But man, it would have been so cool to download it off of Steam. It would have been so cool, because then you could download RetroArch off of there, and that has all the other emulators. But I know people like to point out that the RetroArch does have Dolphin and Dolphin cores in them, but you kind of have to set up the BIOS yourselves. So, because smartly, and the emulation for Wii and GameCube games in RetroArch is it's more outdated than Dolphin emulated themselves, at least for how it works, at least for the Xbox emulation. I don't know if that's the case for everywhere else. You know, in other words, you could just download them from the official Dolphin website, and let me make this clear. Nintendo's not taking down the ones where you can just download them from their GitHub or from the website. That's still there, as far as I know. They haven't gone after that yet, but it being on Steam obviously raised, real awareness to Dolphin emulators as a whole. I'm sure Nintendo's known about Dolphin for years, considering that, it's been around since, again, the early 2000s. 2003, mind you, when the GameCube was still relevant. Which was kind of amazing, but at the end of the day, this really sucks for emulation, and it's definitely hit on it. So, I think I got everything I need to say off my chest. What do you guys think of this, bad news about emulation? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit the like button, and before I go, emulators are legal themselves. Emulators themselves are legal. Downloading ROMs on websites is the shady part. But that's just kind of how it is. But anyway, I'll see you on the next one.